About receiving the short end of the stick. Perhaps the protocol is the way to go. Now, it all starts as a form of fun and harmless diversion to an unhealthy obsession with dire consequences. Whether you do it electronically or at a casino, experts warn that as access to gambling expands, more people will not only give it a try, but will develop gambling problems. On this episode of Health Digest, Gloria Milemo looks at this silent addiction that continues to take a toll on Kenya's youthful population and why most of them are not coming out of it alive.
Difficult to recognize a person with a gambling problem because, unlike in drug or alcohol addiction, where there would be obvious physical signs and symptoms, with this silent illness, there is none.
Gambling involves.
That was the case for Harrison Mwaura, a recovering addict from Kiambu County whose gambling addiction simmered beneath the surface, hiding in the shadows for 5 years before he could no longer control the impulse to gamble.
I thought I could make easy money. I placed a bet of around 500 shillings and I played 14 games. And in the 14 games, I won 21,000. But little did I know that this was the end of me.
Like many, the euphoria he got from betting, regardless of even knowing at times that the odds were against him, was what catalyzed the hook that drove him down a dark and cold pit that would eventually throw his life off balance.
I had so much debt with regard to gambling in the bank, and that was of 1.2 million.
Over the years, people with a gambling addiction were thought to be morally flawed or even lacked the willpower to resist it. But as the addiction continues to cause changes in their brain function, they are forced to live in a dark and shadowy world, feeding the gambling addiction. Gambling, which involves risking money or an event of uncertain outcome with a possibility of gaining an increased return, is linked to increased incidence of mental illness and suicide.
Gambling also led me back to alcohol, and I was drinking myself off and telling, why don't you take my life?
As the harm increases, the gambling markets continue to expand, and Nairobi County, that is home to over 6 million people, now bears the brunt of the vice that has taken a toll on its youths.
Part of the bodies that we receive mostly to our mortuaries in Nairobi City County, 10 of them on a weekly basis are from suicide.
This worrying trend is also confirmed by Dr. Vincent Makoha, who is in charge of mental health services at the Kenya Police Service.
They are a bit high in terms of areas like where we have slums.
Experts warn that suicide rate of gambling addiction that affects at least 1.2% of the global population is much higher than any other addiction.
When it becomes now painful because you're losing more than you're gaining, we call it distress. So you become mentally ill, and any form of distress will easily tip someone into giving up on life.
Often, people would ask why a person struggling with gambling addiction won't just quit. Science has shown that when we engage in rewarding behaviors, the brain also builds connections between that behavior and related cues. In this case, gambling becomes something else, more powerful and consuming, that makes it impossible for those who engage in it to stop. Studies have linked gambling disorder to variations in a variety of brain regions, particularly the striatum and prefrontal cortex, which are involved in reward processing, social and emotional problems, and stress, among others. Gambling is legally available in many countries, Kenya included. It has been normalized, and that can be seen through commercials and even associations with sports. But where do we draw the line when it comes to regulating? The sector analysts estimate will reach at least $700 billion by 2028 in revenues. They also warn that smartphone use in low and middle income countries like Kenya will drive much of this growth. But at what expense?
We interdict the issues by either arresting those who practice that illegally, because the practice is not even organized in a certain manner. So that is the one that leads to the suicide cases.
The enormous scale of Kenya's betting addiction leaves more questions than answers regarding its impact on the society. The prevalence of addiction among the youthful populace, where betting found a fertile ground, is worrying, begging the question whether Kenya has a shot at tackling this silent monster.
Betting side is the easiest thing we can control in Kenya. Just block those pay bill numbers.
In what is now seen as a move to curtail the impact of betting in the country, especially among this demographic, the National Assembly's Committee on Finance and National Planning is set to table a report on investigations into the operations of betting and gaming companies in the country next week. Gilgil Member of Parliament Martha Wangari voiced concern over an online betting game's impact on livelihoods across the country.
It is against this background, Mr. Speaker, that I request for a statement from the chairperson of the Finance Committee on the following. Number one, how much Kenyans are spending per year on betting and gaming activities, the steps being taken by the Betting Control and Licensing Board to control the proliferation of all manner of advertisements.
There is no gainsaying that gaming addiction is a real problem that masses face every day. But with urgent regulation of gambling, more lives and shattered dreams lost to the unseen monster will be saved and turned around to make positive changes. Gloria Milimu, KTN.